to the regular meeting of the Birmingham City Council. Today is November 7th. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Chief Chaplain Darren Kinnemer of the Birmingham Veterans Administration Healthcare System, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be administered by Cub Scout Pack 3443. Thank you. Please stand.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation to be with you today. Please join me in prayer. We come before you this morning, gracious Spirit, with humble and grateful hearts. We're grateful for our city and each person who shares their time, energy, and talents to serve others. And we're humbled that you entrust us with the power to govern ourselves. Save us from self-interest and remind us that those who would be first in your kingdom are those who serve the least among us. We pray for each person, neighborhood, and organization represented here. We humbly ask your blessings upon them, our elected officials, each staff member and public servant. May we all submit to your will for love, peace, and grace. Lead us toward one human family in the reality of your beloved community. And as we celebrate our veterans this week, we remember all who serve in harm's way and those who've given all. We pray that you will speed the day when war and violence end and all of your creation knows peace. Give us the courage to seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with you. We ask that you receive our prayer and abide with us. In the name of all that is good, decent, and holy. Amen.
Good morning. Thank you very much. At this time, Ms. Clerk, could we have the roll call?
Councilmember Abbott.
Present.
Councilmember Clark.
Present.
Councilmember Moore. Councilmember Smitherman. Councilmember Tate. Councilmember Williams. Good morning. Councilmember Woods. Council President Pro Tem Alexander.
Present.
Council President O'Quinn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
At this time, the minutes for the June 20th, 2023 through October 31st, 2023 council meetings are not ready. Communications from Mayor Woodfin.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning to the entire council.
Morning.
As well as good morning to the public. Mr. President and Council, I want to start off by acknowledging Leroy Stover. He's a long-time city employee. Ended his career at the height of serving as deputy chief of the Birmingham Police Department and the first black officer of the city of Birmingham. Mr. Stover passed away a few days ago, and his legacy and work at the Birmingham Police Department paved the way for so many to follow. He spent 90 years on this earth, and we just want to pause to acknowledge him, the loss of his life, the legacy he left, being the first in the path he created, and saying sending our sincere condolences to his entire family. Mr. President and Council, tomorrow, Wednesday, November 8th, is National Eat Healthy Day. I'm not sure if that includes Chick-fil-A. But the city of Birmingham is hosting National Eat Healthy Day, and we want our employees and citizens to come out and enjoy food trucks, fresh produce vendors, all right? Fresh produce. A Live Healthy cooking demonstration with samples, speakers, and much more, and it will be tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on Short 20th Street. As a friendly reminder to everyone in the public, the City of Birmingham offices will be closed this Friday, November 10th. Again, City Hall will not be open this Friday. It will be closed in observance of Veterans Day. Before I continue, I would just like to express my sincere appreciation for every veteran, not just in the city of Birmingham, not just the state of Alabama, but the entire country and around the world. And if you are a veteran in this room, if you could, take the time to please stand and be acknowledged. I see one of our favorite veterans over here. And we appreciate all of you all, truly. So as we're closed, with the exception of police, fire, 911, everything else is closed. And I do want to note, I've shared it, we will continue to share it. There will be no household garbage pickup this Friday. Council definitely needs your help spreading the word to your neighborhood officers, citizens in your district. There will be no household garbage pickup this Friday. In lieu of that, and we've already started communications in every channel, please share with and remind residents, and this is to the public as well, I'll speak directly to you, if your household trash pickup is this Friday, your actual makeup day is not after, it's before, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, November 8th. Again, your makeup day is tomorrow, November 8th, so please set your trash out tomorrow. It will not be picked up Friday, November 10th. It will be picked up Wednesday, November 8th. I do want to share again about the Magic City Toy Drive. The City of Birmingham, along with CBS 42 and AmFirst Credit Union, is hosting our Magic City Toy Drive. It has already started, and it will end Monday, December 4th. To the public, as well as to the council and staff and city employees, please consider donating new unwrapped toys and bicycles to help supplement low to moderately low income families with their children's holiday wishes. Again, drop-off locations are at the following sites: Department of Youth Services, Birmingham City Hall, Birmingham Police Administration Building on 1st Avenue North, as well as all 4 precincts, all the fire and rescue stations across the city, and all AmFirst credit unions within the city limits. And for more information, you can call 205-320-0879 or go to BHAMYouthFirst.org to receive more information about the toy drive. Also this week, tomorrow and Thursday, November 8th and 9th, the city will host a warm supply drive to help our homeless community. In an effort to help those impacted by cold temperatures this fall and this upcoming winter, the city of Birmingham will partner with our AmeriCorps Vistas to host a warm supply drive. Again, this tomorrow and this Thursday. The drive will be held right in front of the Boutwell Auditorium from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Collections will be used to support warming stations coordinated by the city and our community partners, and to help those experiencing homelessness. Donors can drive in front of the Boutwell, and someone will unload their vehicle so they don't have to get out if they don't choose. Volunteers will be accepting bottled water, toilet paper, paper towels, new or gently used coats, new gloves and winter caps, and hand warmers. To our volunteers, to our AmeriCorps visitors, and to any citizen within our city or surrounding community participating tomorrow and Thursday, thank you so much. As the council continues to lean in on code enforcement related to PEP, I do want to share with you and the public that the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits, i.e. PEP, in coordination with Community Resource Division of Community Development, will host coffee with code enforcement. So just like similar to coffee with the cop. This is very similar. The first event will take place this Thursday, November 9th, and it will be at Memorial Park from 10 a.m. to 12. Again, from 10 a.m. to noon this Thursday, November 9th. So any citizens you want to share that with, please do. The aim is very simple. It is to create an open dialogue with citizens around all things code enforcement related and to provide public education about our code enforcement process. I do want to share again about the last phase of the uniform cart delivery. I'll continue to share this on a weekly basis, Mr. President and Council. All single-family residents are now under the same uniform trash system, uniform cart system, that is. Businesses located on residential waste routes needing up to 2 carts and multifamily dwelling units of 4 or less may apply for carts at a fee per cart. Any businesses needing more than 2 carts or any apartments or multifamily dwellings needing more than 4 carts will no longer be serviced by the City of Birmingham. DPW has been addressing issues on a case-by-case basis for residents on difficult terrain. And as always, we encourage our citizens to go to birminghamal.gov/pickup for more information. On a final note, to President Dr. Darrell O'Quinn, to Councilor Clinton Woods, to Councilor Hunter Williams, and to your colleague, Councilor J.T. Moore, who was not present. Your 4 colleagues, ladies, as well as we've decided to do No Shave November. And I need your help, along with their spouses and significant others, to make sure they don't cheat. This includes no clippers, no scissors, no edge up, no line up, nothing they can do to their face. Of course, we all know this originally started as a worthy cause related to bringing awareness towards colon cancer, but it's since spread to all forms of cancers post Breast Cancer Awareness Month of October. So November is the main time to step up. This is our way of showing support. So Councilor Tate, Councilor Alexander, Councilor Smitherman, Councilor Abbott, and Councilor Clark, if you see any changes in their faces, please let me know, and we will handle accordingly. That concludes the mayor's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I
Councilor Abbott.
wanted to ask the mayor a question, and that is, you know, we finally have all our uniform garbage carts deployed, and it looks like about 1/3 of the people never take them up from the street. What is our plan to deal with that? Because it, of course, makes our neighborhoods look pretty bad, but what are we going to do?
Mr. President, to your colleague's question, Ms. Abbott, I think the first thing, Ms. Abbott, and to your colleagues, is to do what you've been wanting us to do, which is education. I think we will continue to education in this hand and communication in my right hand. The beauty of when you all change the ordinance, part of our ordinance does include within 24 hours actually removing your trash bin from the curb, from in front of your home, and bringing it back to the the interior of your outer property. And so the last phase, of course, would be enforcement related to what teeth is included in the ordinance you pass, related to within 24 hours removing the bin from the curb. But I think we'll do a soft approach first and continue to over-communicate about the trash bin new process, as well as educate about the process. And then I think at a certain point we have to move to enforcement. You mentioned the number 1/3. I would say, of course, majority of people are doing the right thing, but I think some people just don't know. And so that's why we're going to do the whole education over communication piece first.
Well, I have seen people rolling their carts out that still have the little plastic bag tied to the handle. So clearly, a lot of people didn't even read it. But it is I mean, right now it's a problem, and I don't know how we're going to address it. Maybe we could leave stickers on the ones that get left on the street all the time or something, because a lot of people don't watch us on TV. They don't even know we're here. They don't visit our website. So I don't know how else to do the communication besides leaving something at their house that says, hey, y'all.
Yeah, Mr. President, to Ms. Abbott's point, I definitely think there are multiple communication channels. I will engage PEP Legal and our comms team. We'll come up with some additional forms of communication and engaging various communication channels. Then we'll share with the council too. I mean, you do have a platform where, at a minimum, I think it can be filtered down. We all the 10 of us can get it to our neighborhood officers. Our neighborhood officers can get it to residents, and not just the ones that actually show up to neighborhood meetings, but there are various channels to do this. Nextdoor, social media, Everbridge, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll try every channel.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Clerk, do you have any announcements of vacancies in board and agencies?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay. We'll move on to consideration of the consent agenda.
Okay, the consent agenda starts on page 3 with item 7. Then we skip over to page 19. We have item 8 on consent. Page 20, we have items 9 and 11 on consent. Page 21, we have items 13, 14, 15, and 16 on consent. Page 22, we have items 17, 18, 19, and 20 on consent. And on page 23, we conclude with items 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25.
So 14 remains on consent. Council Williams. All right, Council Williams is requesting to remove item 14 on page 21 from consent. Item 10 on page 20 has been withdrawn. And item number 3 on page 2 has been withdrawn. Okay. All items designated as consent are routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will be permitted unless a council member, the mayor, or citizen interested in a public hearing so request. If so, such items will revert to its normal place on the agenda order of business. All matters of permanent operation, marked with a P, will be read. All other matters will be announced by reading the item number only. All public hearings will be announced. Do we have a motion for consideration of the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
All right. Item number 1.
Item 1, an ordinance to further amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham, case number ZAC 2022-1, to change zone district boundaries from MXD Planned Mixed Use District to QC1 Qualified Neighborhood Commercial District, filed by Charles Beavers. Applicant, on behalf of the owner, Oxmoor USA Incorporated, for properties located at 3100 and 3060 Shannon Oxmoor Road and situated in northeast quarter of Section 6, Township 19 South, Range 3 West, and the hearing of all interested parties. Motion, please.
I move approval.
Second.
All right. Mr. Gambrell? I'm sorry, Councilwoman Abbott?
Well, that's okay. That's what I was going to say too. Mr. Gambrell, would you read our case?
Yes, ma'am. Tim Gambrell, I serve as the Chief Planner for the City of Birmingham, and this is case ZAC 2022-1 in the Oxmoor neighborhood. The proposed use is a convenience store and quick service restaurant. The subject property sits on approximately 2.92 acres of land currently zoned MXD, which is a planned mixed-use district. Abutting the subject property to the north, south and west is undeveloped land zoned MXD. To the east of the property is a Circle K convenience store that also houses a Smith K Cleaners and is zoned C1. The applicant's proposal is to construct a convenience store that will have a quick service restaurant with a drive-through and indoor dining on one side and a typical convenience store on the other side. There will be 5 fueling stations with 10 pumps. The city's adopted long-range land use plan identifies the property as light industrial. This industrial district is designed to allow for light manufacturing and office uses. The applicant's proposed site plan shows a total of 16 spaces with 10 fueling spaces and 9 stacking spaces, which meets the parking requirement for the site. Stormwater has commented and said that all stormwater, floodplain, and soil erosion ordinances will apply. The Birmingham Department of Transportation reviewed and approved the applicant's plan to restrike the turn lane on Oxmoor Lane, and BDOT is not concerned about any increases in traffic at this location. The project requires an evergreen shrub hedgerow between the gas station and the street, as well as canopy trees. The landscaping plan is currently depicted meets those requirements. The Oxmoor Neighborhood Association met at its regular scheduled meeting on February 14, 2022 to review the proposed project and voted to not support the proposed rezoning request. That vote was 5 in support and 32 to not support. The neighborhood is not supportive of the rezoning request because there are 5 gas stations in the Oxmoor area, and one of those already serves hot food. The new gas station would cause more traffic problems on Shannon-Oxmoor Road. Subsequent to that neighborhood meeting, a traffic study was completed. Applicant and staff contacted Neighborhood Association to see if they would like for the applicant to attend the meeting with the new information, the traffic study, and the neighborhood declined that offer and stated the original vote from 2022 stands. Excuse me. The Zoning Advisory Committee met at a regular scheduled meeting on September 19, 2023, and voted to recommend the rezoning request 3-1 with the following 2 conditions. 1, compliance with all requirements of Oxmoor Steering Committee guidelines, and 2, any future development on the properties requires submittal of a site plan to the Zoning Advisory Committee, and the committee must approve the site plan prior to any construction. Planning and Zoning Committee met at a regular scheduled meeting on September 27, 2023, and voted to recommend approval to the full council with the same 2 conditions. And that concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Gambrell. We're going to hear first from the applicant or the applicant's representative, and then we will hear from the members of the public who would like to speak, and the council then will be able to ask questions.
Good morning, Mr. President, council members, Mr. Mayor. My name's Charlie Beavers, 4301 Dolly Ridge Road, Birmingham, 35243. It is my pleasure to be here on behalf of the applicant. The applicant has actually purchased the subject property from U.S. Steel, owns the property. The applicant owns several other developments of this kind, which he has constructed for himself. He manages it, owns it, operates it, and takes care of it personally. He's already received approval by BP Oil of the site, of this particular site, and that's what BP Oil will be sold there. As I won't go through a lot of the details about it because Mr. Gambrell just did a good job of giving you the details of the application and some of the history, but just to say we've been at this for pushing 2 years now. We went through the process with the neighborhood, and they were very concerned about traffic, so we did engage a traffic engineer to perform counts and do a study. That study actually got delayed because of COVID. It just pushed all of these studies back, and he wanted to do it when school was in session and it was a full use of the road systems out there. And so we did get the traffic study. As Mr. Gambrell indicated, we offered to meet with the neighborhood to go through the traffic study, and the neighborhood said they would prefer not to do that. So we went, since it's been so long since we've been through ZAC and P&Z, staff asked us to start over again. So that's what we did, and we did go before the ZAC, and we're grateful for a positive recommendation there. And then we went before the Planning and Zoning Committee of this council, and we're grateful for the positive recommendation there as well. Just a little bit about the development, and then, if I may, I'd like to have Mr. Scott Skipper of Skipper Consulting Traffic Engineers come and present to you the traffic report. We also have available to answer any questions that you might have about civil engineering for the site. We have Logan Gandy, who is the civil engineer. Mr. Thomas Winston is the contractor who will oversee the construction of the improvements to the property, and Mr. Willie Oliver is the consulting architect for the development if you have any questions of them. The store is indicated by Mr. Gambrell, is a service station with gas pumps. It is also a convenience store which sells various grocery items and the like, as typically is done. It also, which is not typical, has a very nice delicatessen restaurant, including a drive-through with, I think it's 7 stacks that your traffic engineers here gave us the specs for how that ought to be, and that's all been done in compliance with their requirements. So they'll have a drive-through pickup. They also have in-store seating area for eating in the facility, where you can go through a line. Meat and 3 types of foods are offered. It's kind of a home-cooked kitchen-style menu, and then also breakfast items and deli-type items as well. So it's very nice. They have one like this in Tannehill that he's had 6 or 7 years. It's been very successful, and that is what he wants to do here. The Tannehill store, if you have pictures of it, I'm not sure what you all have on your screen, but was built. The Jefferson County wanted that store to look like a Cracker Barrel or something with a country look, so he cladded it that way. This store would be more similar to one that I think you have pictures of, the more modern-looking facility. The store is anticipated to generate $2.6 million annually in revenue. That's of sales. It will produce $1.5 million in revenue over 15 years to the city. The owner is not asking for any city assistance of any kind. He builds this out of his own finances and resources, and then will operate. I don't know if you all have this or not. We handed it out to P&Z. This is a printout of the first 6 months, well, actually January through August of this year, of what he's doing at the Tannehill store, so you can see the numbers, or he's projected based on these. If you don't have this, I'm happy to hand it out if you'd like for me to.
Councilor Abbott.
Do y'all have
Yeah,
these?
we don't apparently have it. We have a lot of information, but that's not a piece that we have.
Would you like for me to hand that out? He's a very good operator. He knows how to operate his stores. They're very financially successful, and there'll be a nice revenue to the city and to this area in particular. This property is bounded on the rear by a railroad track. It fronts a very heavily traveled Aldock road, so a major artery type of a road. We don't know how it could be developed for industrial like it's zoned for now. We're not sure what other kind of development really would go there with this. It's an excellent, excellent use for this particular property. It's not adjacent to any kind of residential or anything like that. It's perfectly located for a service station. There is a service station across the street, but as our traffic engineer will explain, folks that want to get into that service station who are coming from Birmingham out have to turn left across traffic. And most of this traffic that will be served by this store will be folks turning right in and right out. And so it works very well. And as you know, quite commonly, there are service stations across from each other, next to each other, because they're perfect spots for service stations. We have a new site, just for your information, that is going to be constructed immediately across the hospital that is under construction. That has been recently been approved for zoning by the Jefferson County Commission. So our client is very, very heavily invested in the area and is grateful to have this particular piece of property. I would like, if it's all right, of course I'll answer any questions you all have or however you want to do that, but to call on our traffic engineer just to present the traffic report, if that's all right.
Yeah, that will be fine, because I know
Okay.
that traffic was the big,
That was the issue the neighborhood had, and so we tried to address it, and I think we have. I might mention that when we appeared before the Zoning Advisory Committee at one of its meetings, your traffic engineer, Mr. James Foster, was called to come up to the meeting to answer questions about the traffic, and he confirmed, as is confirmed in this report, that there were no traffic concerns, that this did not create a dangerous traffic situation. So if it's all right, I'll call on Mr. Skipper now. And then
Okay,
I'd like
thank
to come
you.
back and just close. Thank you.
Good morning, council. How you doing this morning?
Morning.
Scott Skipper with Skipper Consulting, and we're at 3644 Van Road, Birmingham, Alabama, 35235. I will go through this as quickly as guys can ask questions about what we went through, but I jokingly said at one of our meetings that we got together is that it took me 65 pages to what Mr. Fowler was able to say in about a sentence and a half. So we agree with the staff report. We looked at the signalized intersection there of Shannon Oxmoor Road and Winona Oxmoor Road, as well as the Circle K access and then the car wash access, which is where our access would line up. Did traffic counts during the morning peak hour and the afternoon peak hour. Looked at existing traffic conditions. We're seeing acceptable levels of service today. Levels of service are grading A through F, kind of like school, except we do have the E in there. We're acceptable levels of service today. As Mr. Beavers indicated earlier, the majority of this convenience store traffic is on the road today. I don't know that it's very often that I go to the gas station where I'm not on my way from home to work or home to dinner or wherever that may be. So it's traffic that's already on the roadway. It's intercepted by this development. So that's the majority of the traffic. As much as 75% of convenience market traffic is already on the roadways, pulls in, gets their, they go in, get a pack of crackers and a soda, and fill up with gas while they're there. So then they travel and continue the rest of their trip. We did the trip generation estimates for what this development would generate. We added that to the existing traffic, and then ran levels of service and analysis for post-development conditions, and found that the post-development conditions, because so much of the traffic is already on the roadways, we're pulling it off, putting it back on. The levels of service for future conditions showed no change or it did not degrade. So we have the same levels of service. So particularly at the signalized intersection there, it's a B today, it'll be a B in the future. So we're not making any changes there. And that is pretty much the nuts and bolts of the traffic study. And I'll answer any questions you guys may have related to it.
does anybody have questions for the traffic engineer while he's here? Yes, Ms. Alexandra.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Abbott. I do have a question, just like to follow up about the traffic study. I did attend the meeting with the neighborhood, and initially, when there was a lot of concern about the traffic, and I know there was a traffic calming and study done by BDOT and you. I just have a question. This particular, your traffic study was done in August 30th of 2022. I do know that since that time, there's been significant buildup in the neighborhood. I represent this neighborhood in District 7. There's been a significant buildup in family homes in that area, and I think there are at least 2 or 3 new subdivisions that have come into that area. Has this been taken into consideration that these homes weren't there at the time of the traffic study? In your opinion, how would this affect the traffic with the growth in that neighborhood?
What we see in, first of all, the levels of service that we're seeing, there is sufficient capacity on the roadway to handle a fair amount of growth. So we feel comfortable that there is the roadway capacity to handle some additional development as it occurs to the south, to the north, that would travel this roadway. So we feel comfortable that if these were coming in at ease, then that's where you get to the point where you start looking at it and saying, we're pushing the verge of the capacity of the intersection. But I don't think I really answered your question, but when you do traffic counts, you're going to get a daily variation in traffic counts of 3-5%. Most roadways will grow at about 1.5% a year. That's an aggressive growth rate. With the current housing market and rates and things, I think we're seeing a slowdown in that growth rate. The store is projected to be opened 18 months tops, something like that. So from the time we did our counts, I would say max you're going to have is maybe 3-4% growth in the area if it's growing heavily. And like I said, we have a daily variation in traffic. If you count it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, you're going to get some fluctuation in traffic. So I think we have the capacity. The capacity analysis tells us we have sufficient capacity to handle this and then some additional growth. So we're comfortable that it can handle some additional growth from additional homes.
Thank you. And one other follow-up question on the traffic. I do also see, I believe there are 5 other convenience stores or service stations within this area. Is that taken into consideration when you look at traffic? I mean, you may have traffic going in one direction from the other. How does that affect the traffic flow when you have that many service stations concentrated within an area?
I think this and the one across the street
Okay.
are the 2 that are on this roadway. The others are on Lakeshore.
Okay.
So the Lakeshore stores are really serving the traffic on Lakeshore more so than this traffic. Certainly, you would think that some of the patrons of the Circle K would move to this store, particularly on the homebound trip. But in our analysis, we don't detract or take away trips and try to project that. We just simply take what's out there today and add on top of it. So you're looking at kind of the worst case scenario.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Abbott. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the council have traffic questions? I do want to compliment the drawings that we received with our packets. These are actually readable drawings, and whoever is responsible for that, we appreciate it, especially those of us with older eyes.
He's not even close to how it's going to get. Just in conclusion, I might mention that the city traffic engineer has required restriping to create turn lanes left and also decel and excel lanes that should be reflected in the materials that you have. And our client will be doing that under the supervision of the city traffic engineer at his expense to meet that requirement. We believe this is, I don't know what else would go here. Railroad track behind it, heavily traveled throughway, Aldott Road in front of it. It's perfect to take traffic off of that road to provide the services that this provides and for them then to be on their way. It's an excellent site. It can think of no public safety, health, welfare reason to deny it. I know the neighborhood. I don't question that they actually are concerned about traffic. Don't question that at all. It's just that it's not an issue as confirmed by your traffic engineer and by our professional consultant. We thank you for your time. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have, either of our other folks here or of me or our traffic engineer. And we would very much appreciate your favorable consideration. We'd be happy and would like to respond to any matters that get raised. If anyone speaks against this, we'd like a chance to respond.
Okay, thank you. If you'd sit on the front row, we're going to hear from members of the public now, and then if we need for you to come back up to answer questions, we'll do that. Stay close. If there are any members of the public who would like to speak regarding this request, please come forward to the microphone. Yeah, the microphone is up here with the podium. And if you'd please pull the microphone down, because it's not a real strong microphone.
Okay, Madeline Green, 108 Muni Circle, Birmingham, Alabama, 35211. President Oxmoor Neighborhood, and to God be the glory. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm pretty much changed this. I probably won't even say a whole lot of this. In reply to what Attorney Beavers mentioned, that they reached out to the neighborhood after they got the traffic study. They did not. And I don't know where they keep getting this from, but they have not. The first time I heard from them was when Ms. Spurl emailed me to let me know they were back. They have been gone over a year. We haven't heard from them since the ZAC meeting of last year. I think it was either June or July of 2022. And so all of a sudden I get, I'm hearing about an email about they had reached out to me. They have not. I haven't seen these guys until ZAC meeting of this year. So therefore, they'll let you know how long it's been, a whole year. All right, and then when he says that we let them know that we were not going to meet with them and the vote would stand, that information was given to Kim Spurl in August of this year. So how are they saying they spoke with me and that I said this to them when that's not true? Attorney Beavers, throughout this whole ordeal, this is the first applicant that we've ever had. We've had 4 applicants since I've been the president, since I've been president 2.5 years now. And we've had 4 applicants. We've only turned down 1 so far because they were not good for our neighborhood. And we have that right to do that. And so, and this particular applicant, the other 2 applicants was, I think it was apartment complex, and they're currently building down off of Oxmoor Road. So we definitely approved that one. And we also approved another one that came before you all a couple months ago, and that's because they came to us in a positive way. They came to us in a respectful way, and they didn't demand anything. They listened to us. This particular group right here, in fact, I can just close this. This particular group right here, when they first came to us, it was nothing but deception. When they came to us, they started talking about, the first thing they talked about was, well, first of all, they brought 1 sheet of paper. Who brings 1 sheet of paper before a room of a crowd of people in the room? 1 sheet of paper to present that sheet of paper. And on that sheet of paper, it had something about the restaurant. Okay, some little dingy picture. And then after that, they spent more time on talking about the food on the food table than they did about the actual project. And we're very open. We're a very open community. We just want what we want that's good for us. We don't mind C1. We don't mind MXD going to C1 neighborhood. We don't mind that. But when you have persons like them coming in, and they're just going to make sure that they let us know. Did I keep up with my time? Okay.
Actually, your time is up, but we forgot to start the time, so, we'll give you another minute anyway because we want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, well, I have a lot to say, and it's the majority of the stuff to give you the gist of it. So can somebody suspend the rules? I just need maybe 2 more minutes.
Request. Second.
Okay, thank you very much. And so as a result, that's basically what all they talked about. Oh, sorry.
Let him call.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Sorry about that. Okay. And so as a result, we asked them, we tabled that because, some of the other members will tell you what they talked about in detail. But we tabled it to the next meeting, which was February. We could have tabled that further out, but what we like to do is just get in there, get them out, because they need to go through that process. And so that's what we did. So when we had the February meeting, we voted, as you heard, 32 no and 5 for. And so we went from there, and then after that, we went to, I got several phone calls from some of their members about whether or not that they want to talk to us after the vote. No, we're not going to talk about the vote. We just, you know, and you can't talk. I don't allow people to talk to me one-on-one about something after the vote. You should have brought your best shot when you came, you know, and they did not. They didn't even respect us enough to even bring stuff that we needed. And then after that first meeting, Attorney Beaver sent me a whole email of food tables, all the stuff on the, and he didn't really talk about the issue at hand, the gas station, the convenience store. So, but anyway, in the February meeting, he did finally sent me an email prior to that to let me see the plans. And so that's where we went from there. And so and then we did our voting. Okay, moving forward, you already know about the 5 gas stations that we have. Is if it's a prerequisite for us to have a steam table in these places to constitute a restaurant, then we don't need that. You know, we've been asking for a restaurant from the city to help us get a restaurant that would be good for everyone to come, to sit down and talk and just be with your children the whole time. So therefore, we don't have that yet. And this is going to be our example, our final thing. And Attorney Beavers will say whatever you need to hear, for you to hear behind closed doors and except in front of me. Now, the ZAC meeting that I went to last year, Attorney Beaver said some things, and I called him out on it. And so, therefore, we never saw him anymore. So I don't know what happened after that ZAC meeting, but I'm just seeing him for the first time at the ZAC meeting this year. So I just want you all to know that we're not in agreement with this. We're the neighborhood. We should know what we want. Who wants that many gas stations? We have 7. And then I'll say this last thing. On yesterday, when I was doing some mapping, I did find out that the gas station that's up the street, the convenience store that's up the street on the Bessemer line, it belongs to Mr. Ahmed. That was shocking to me in itself. He has one right up the street from us. But yet he led us all around the moon about other gas stations, which I didn't go to because it was too far away. And so, but finding this yesterday, and his address is on it because he lives in Ross Bridge, he basically wants it to be close, Ross Bridge, everything to be right where he is. And that's not fair to us. We don't need another gas station, folks. If it was yours, would you want 7 gas stations? Every time you see you got a gas station going on, and a lot of things he said today was not true again. But that's what I wanted you to know. We do not need another gas station. 7 gas stations within a 1 to 3 mile radius. I drove it. So less than that. So therefore, I mean, and he's trying to force it on us. That's why he told y'all, I'm sure the neighborhood would like it. You know, he never asked the neighborhood. He shoved it at us and he left. It was almost like a fleeing bird. So therefore, I haven't talked to this man. I will tell Mr. Ahmed the same thing. I have not talked to them. And for them to create an email, and I never did see it, to create an email making it seem like I did talk to them, and that I did not. I don't have any reason to lie. Nobody's going to spank me. So there was no reason for me to lie.
Thank you, Ms. Green. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Next speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Evelyn L. Shorter, 2524 Osborne Street. I'm 89 years old. I've been in Birmingham all of my life. I am in a community that is growing, has grown too big for a community. It's too many business around us. It's really too many homes are built. The love of money is the root of evil. If the city accept what he said, how much money, a revenue that will bring into the city, that's not good. The city is you and me, not a man's pocketbook. We love Oxmoor. It's one of the prettiest places I've ever seen for us. We want it to stay like that. I don't know y'all job description, how you accept these reports. Do you go to the job? Do you measure the streets? all of that traffic come there, I sit on my deck, my back deck. I see them cars all the time, every day, night and day. It's awful out there. It's a beautiful neighborhood. Let us keep it like that. The people that want it, put it over where they live. We don't need that. The ones that are up here, like I said, I don't know your job description, but go out there and check on what he has given you. It's too much traffic. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 roads coming right there. And it's up above a train track. No, it's too much already is being out there. Listen what we are saying. We live there. We want progress, but we don't want to be thrown to the wolves. Think about, why are we here? We're not here for money, they are. But the city might be for money too, but you're not doing it right. I've been here 89 years. Maybe I've already spent enough money already in the city. Think about it. Think about it. So remember who you are. We all came from 3 rooms and a toilet on the back porch, and where we are now, and we want to progress, but we don't need all this business where we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Madam Chairwoman,
Next speaker, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. President, forgive me. I don't take any issue with what the young lady said. I just heard 2 numbers mentioned twice, and I have the same response you had. You can interpret that.
Thank you. Next speaker.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to stand in your presence. To the mayor, to the members of the council, my name is James Carter. I don't like coming to these meetings because what they mean to me is that we don't really have a voice. It's a facade to me. But I'm here to speak on behalf of my community. I want you to know that you represent us. You represent the communities of Birmingham. However, I do understand that you submit things individually, but when you vote, think about the citizens of Birmingham. We are the citizens. We're the reasons you sit where you sit. Now, as far as the Oxmoor community, we have enough gas stations. We need restaurants. We don't need hot plates and gas stations in our neighborhoods. Where I came from, there's beauty supply stores, Dollar Generals. This is probably one of the most affluent areas in Birmingham. We don't need that. My understanding is that the gentleman purchased the land prior to even coming to you to put anything on it. What chance does that give us as the community? I'm not opposed to him having a business. I just don't want it in my back door. He can have his business wherever he wants to. Why not Hoover? Why not Ross Bridge? Why not some other community? We are tired. We are broken. But as long as I have breath in my body, I will stand on the Constitution that until you do right about us, everything that you touch is going to fall. I stand on that principle. Before I took this podium, I spoke to God and I said, God, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. May not be in your sight, but he knows. Now, I'm not a pastor or a minister. I'm just one of his chosens. I'm just like the ones who came before me, the forerunners. Those who had the audacity to stand before millions and speak unafraid, unapologetic. So I want this council to know, what you do today, we will remember. That's a promise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Joey Amberson. I live at 240 Oxmoor Place in the Oxmoor Glen subdivision. I also serve as the president of the board of directors for our neighborhood. I echo the sentiments here of my neighbors. There's not much more I can say than ditto, basically what they've said already. Me and my wife have lived in the Oxmoor neighborhood now almost 7 years. Next year will be 8. One of the things that really drew us to that neighborhood was the beauty that surrounded us, the community, the diversity of that community. With any new development, unfortunately, comes clearing of land, most likely. This area is a beautiful area and covered in just glorious amounts of different variations of nature. And again, one of the things that I love the most about this area, about our community, is all of the wooded areas, all of the trees, everything that surrounds us. It's like heaven on earth, basically. With this development, unfortunately, would come a mowing down of that area, of all those trees. And that really breaks my heart to have to drive by that every single day. With the various choices that we already have for convenience stores, I don't see any reason why we would need another one in that particular area. This is a very heavily trafficked area. I drive it every single day. Morning, noon, and night is very heavily traveled, as already been mentioned. So I ask you today, in your vote, to listen to our neighborhood. We do not want this development. We do not want this convenience store at this location. Help us preserve the beauty that God has bestowed upon this neighborhood with the beauty of His creation and nature surrounding us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emerson. Next speaker.
Good morning to Mayor, council members. I'm Larry Witt. I reside at 101 Vancouver Court. That's in the Ridgeview Estates subdivision in Oxmoor Valley. I'm here on behalf of the neighborhood concerning the convenience store and service station. As everybody said, we're not in a gas shortage area. We have plenty of gas and convenience stores. And as far as the traffic, they keep talking about the traffic study that's been done. Everybody going to the right, coming out to the right. That's not so. That's the deception right there. How is everybody going to go in to the right when they come out, they're going right? What about people want to go left? And you got those two traffic lights there that's in maybe from here to that wall from each other. This one red, that one red. You got cars backed up. You got a stop sign to your right going to West Oxmoor Road to go to Bluff Park, and there's a stop sign. You have people go down to the stop sign to dodge the lights, want to make a left. That causes traffic backup. So it's really going to be more traffic. And another thing about the traffic study, about going to the right and the left, you know, people going to be coming out. You're going to have a drive-through too. People want to come out, go left too. Everybody not going right. You know, and another thing, on the last meeting when we were at City Hall, Ms. Abbott, I asked you a question about people purchasing property that wasn't designed, wasn't zoned for what they wanted. So this person purchased this property knowing that it wasn't designed, it's not zoned for what he wanted to do. But we were standing in the hallway at City Hall before we came into the meeting, and this gentleman asked Attorney Beavers why was he there. And Attorney Beavers told him what he was there for about rezoning the property. And the man told him, oh man, you got a slam dunk. And we know what a slam dunk is. That's in basketball. That's an easy basket where you down under the basket and you tall enough to slam dunk, which is a 99% made shot. So he let him know he had a slam dunk, and that actually was a mark on you council members, basically saying that, hey, you don't have a problem getting this passed. You got a slam dunk. And actually, that's all I got to say is we oppose it, we don't need it, and we actually and really don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Witt. Next speaker.
Good morning. To the mayor and the city council, my name is Nathan Carter. I live at 2017 Nova Scotia Circle in Birmingham, Alabama. And this project has come before us before. We denied it because of not just the number of cars, it's the congestion that is at that particular location that is continually being more congested because of the number of families and people moving into the area. It's been said that we have about 5 service stations in the area. If you go from the interstate to this particular property, there's more like 10. That's less than a 5-mile distance from the interstate to this particular site. We do understand that Ross Bridge has need of a additional gas station. The amount of people who will be served by this will be more Ross Bridge residents than it would be ours. As citizens, we understand that business is in business to make money, but it's our job to make sure that we maintain the quality of life in our neighborhood. This particular business does not add to our quality of life. It's not giving us anything that says to our neighbors or our future neighbors that this is a place that you would want to be. It's not anything against the business. If a business wants to make money, that's not for us to decide. That's not for anyone else to decide. But when you talk about our responsibility as citizens, our responsibility is to make sure that the areas that we live in has a quality of life that is good for the neighbors and the citizens and even the businesses. Every business that we have accepted has come to us with a plan, and that plan consisted of what can we do to make sure that we help you maintain and improve your quality of life. There have been some that have been denied, and they are consistent. They came with nothing other than we want to put a facility in your area. We've not denied a lot of businesses, but this one has the added problem of giving us a congestion at an area that is already congested and even getting more congested as we get new neighbors in. So considering that, it's our job to say to you guys, our quality of life is not being positively impacted by this particular facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Next speaker.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Brenda Perryman. I'm a resident of 103 Singapore Circle, Birmingham, Alabama, and I reside in the Oxmoor neighborhood. I also serve as president of the Oxmoor Ridge Homeowners Association. Today I stand before you for the very first time presenting to council as a citizen. My comments are mine and mine alone. I want everyone to know that I agree with all of my neighbors who've spoken before me, that it is a beautiful neighborhood. I reside in Oxmoor for the past 8 years. I recently retired, so now I have more time to devote to the things I love most, which includes serving. As you may notice, I'm also a recent graduate of our esteemed ACE program, so I'm excited to meet more of you. However, today I want you to know that I stand with our neighbors in saying we do not need this project. There have been great projects to come before us, and I've supported those as well. But this one does not meet our needs. To come to the neighbors and not include facts to assume that you are going to automatically get it whether we want it or not does not sit well with me. And I know it wouldn't sit well with you either. So I ask that you could reconsider, that you consider voting against this plan and allow us to have more services that provide healthy foods, healthy alternatives, and in a convenient environment for families to gather for meals that are wholesome as opposed to quick serve and drive-throughs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perryman. Next speaker.
Good morning.
Morning.
To President Quinn, other members of the City Council, to Mayor Randall. My name is Miss Perk. I live at 101 Jewel Circle, Birmingham, Alabama. I have chosen today to stand up and express my strong opposition to the rezoning for a convenience store, restaurant, which is debatable, and gasoline station on Shannon Oxmoor. This is an undesirable rezoning, changing from MXD to a C1. And as an Oxmoor resident, as Vice President of our HOA, and as a member of the Southwest Framework Implementation Committee, I oppose it. There is absolutely no need for additional gas stations in this immediate areas. Others have spoken to you to the fact that we are not a gas desert. It would be different if we were. Shannon, when known, is already a major cut through between Lakeshore, Ross Bridge, and Highway 150. Adding more traffic, which it would be, could be dangerous because of the additional turning lanes. It's not really additional turning lane, the restriping. I'm all for profitability for companies, but attempting to create a profit at the expense of residents is very disturbing to me. I feel like it's short-sighted at the best, totally reckless at the worst. And I did cut down to stay inside my 3 minutes. I just want to state some of the facts. Oxmoor is rapidly developing and changing area, but this particular opposition is not related to a nostalgia story. I'm not emotional. And opposition is not intended to come across as not in my backyardism. As a member of the Southwest Framework Implementation Team, we need to focus on the factual impacts that the change would bring to our community. The facts according to the Southwest Area Framework Plan and the Birmingham's Comprehensive Plan concerning future land use, this rezoning is inconsistent with what has been documented. A gas station does not fit into the overlay of an MXD. It is not compatible with the Southwest Framework Plan. In the Southwest Area Framework Plan, future land use, page 167, it talks about smart growth as the lakeshore continues to evolve. More importantly, and I'm reading from the Southwest Framework Plan on Action 1, concentrate from form-based and urban design regulations in and around mixed-use areas. Consistent with Birmingham's comprehensive plan, creating density in and around neighborhoods, mixed-use centers is a key land use principle for the city. As the city, and especially Oxmoor, moves forward with new and innovative development regulations, the designated mixed use in areas of the Southwest Plan should be considered first and foremost. Why change what we've already put in place? One thing I did not hear mentioned was the Southwest Framework Implementation Team recommendation. I may have missed it, Mr. Gambrell, but the Southwest Framework Implementation Team did not agree with this development. I may have missed it again, but it was not recommended or agreed to by the team. You must consider the compatibility of the proposed plans. We are requesting that the council reject the developer's request to put a convenience store restaurant at Shannon. I urge you to disapprove the proposed zoning. And from recent meetings and discussions with my neighbors, I know my opinions are shared by many who have not managed to attend meetings or write letters and email. One thing I would like to add, I know I'm short for time, but in rebuttal to the skipper.
Your time is up, so please wrap it up.
Okay. The fact that they'll be able to defend that the Skipper study, the gentleman said that we'll be today and be tomorrow. That is not true. There is so much development going on in Oxmoor. There will be growth. We have the Rise community that is coming through that same road of 55 and up, cottages. We have further down off, I think it's Triple H, another 55 and up. So we would not be a B tomorrow. If anything, we're going to be an A, depending on your ranking, and that traffic will increase based on the development going there. Thank you for your time and the privilege to speak today.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker.
Good morning. I'm Sandra Smith. I live, and my husband and I reside at 105 Oxmoor Place. There is nothing new that I can add to what has already been stated. Ms. Kirk did a wonderful job, as well as the other speakers before me. All I want to add is it would not be aesthetically pleasing to have a convenience store in our neighborhood, and I am going to ask the City Council to please vote this down. We do not want this in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mayor, Council, I'm Reginald Coleman. I reside, there's my neighbor there in the Ridgeview community. I stand before you just briefly to say a service station, of course, used in this particular area would not be, not only would it not be welcome, but it poses a negative cost-benefit relationship. To at least, I travel that intersection daily, 2 or 3 times a day. It's already congested, that's one, which creates a hazard for those who are traveling in that area. Additionally, it does not lend itself to any benefit as it relates to the need for gasoline. There are at least 10 service stations, gas stations, within the 3-mile radius. If I'm in need of gas, and I might add that also needs to include Sam's Wholesale Club, which also has a gas station. So if I'm in need of gas, there are ample opportunities for me to gas up. As we speak about the need for a restaurant, fast food restaurants as such don't provide the nutrition that we need. It certainly is not family friendly. I don't know if any of you would, but I certainly wouldn't like to have a sit-down dinner at what I call a fast food or convenience store. And as it relates to Ross Bridge is a little ways away. And if there's a need for an additional service station in that area, then I would suggest that they look further west or southwest to serve that need. So I strongly urge the members to vote this particular project down. That area has been family friendly, conducive to children being able to have the freedom of being in the neighborhood and to walk or roam. And so if we're going to consider any projects, we should consider projects that continue to enrich or enhance that life that we've come to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Next speaker.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Tracy Martin. I stay at 100 Vancouver Court in the Oxmoor community. 23 years ago, I moved into that particular area because I wanted to be in the city limits of Birmingham, but yet feel like I was outside the city limits. And that's because of the green space. That's because of the area that I stayed in. You're talking about a young man that grew up in Chicago, Illinois. I actually picked that particular community because it gave me the feeling that I was almost in the country, not country, but outside the city, but yet 5-10 minutes, I can get to anywhere within Birmingham, downtown, any other communities. One of the things that I think that you all have to consider when we talk about this traffic study, As city leaders, as business leaders, as any corporation does, they think about the future. You talk about this traffic study, and they can give you all the numbers as what they see today. But over the past 23 years, we've seen several subdivisions and some other businesses come to our community. And at that rate, we're going to end up being like a community that can drive out of their subdivision, out of their neighborhood, and hit traffic like we see to our neighbors on the south of Highway 31, or even a little bit farther, Highway 119. I can remember a time when those particular highways were almost not quite desolate, but they weren't as congested. And because of the growth, you see what you have now. You go down there, exit off 65, make a right, Cahaba Valley, 119, Highway 31 on the Vestavia side or on the Hoover side. That's because of the growth. And it wasn't always like that. And at the rate we're going, that's how we're going to be. So I think you've heard plenty of people say that the reason they picked this community is because of the green space. The biggest congestion that we see now is probably right there in front of Wildwood Shopping Center on Lakeshore, where you got your Walmart and your Sam's, and that little intersection right there that gives you a pass to Shannon Oxmoor, gives you a pass to Bluff Park because of the way it's situated, and a little cut-through street. And Councilwoman Alexander, I don't know if you have anybody that's coming to you saying that we need more gas stations, but we're not one of them that are. So we ask you to take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Are there any other speakers? Not seeing any. Mr. Beavers, is there anything that you have to say to respond to any of those comments that we heard?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'll try to keep this brief. I don't know how it gets like this. First time we came to the neighborhood, we brought multiple copies of handouts. It showed the site plan, showed the view of what the building would look like, showed the menus straight out of the other store that he has. It's very similar to what this would be, down toward Tannehill, which was a relatively new store. They raised concerns about traffic, wanted us to bring someone from the city traffic engineering to come.
Ma'am, please do not yell out. Let him speak and have his say, please.
We were not able to do that, but we did come back. We brought posters where we blew up the exhibits we had handed out before, put them on easels, had several of those for folks to come and look at. We handed out, again, copies to the folks that were there. Said that our understanding is the city traffic engineering has no problems with the traffic issue, but we were not able to bring someone from traffic engineering. We've been called liars and worse through this process. I've honestly, I can't search myself to see how did it get this way. I don't know. But if you step back from all of that, I mean, when we're going to get an approval from a group of people, we're not going to come in there telling them you got to do this and treating them in a rude manner. Even if we were rude people, it makes no sense. We just didn't do that. But clearly that they think that this is going to be a traffic problem. They don't believe the studies. I believe that's honest. And it's just morphed into this thing. But if you step back and look at this, what's the right use for this property? The other gas stations, other than the one immediately across the street, are miles away. I mean, y'all know where they are. They're not all right around there. And they're not in this travel path, this major artery. They're not in that travel path. This property is not in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's not going to have a negative impact on residences in any way. It's just not. It's on the edge of this community. It's in this community, and certainly they have a right to weigh in, and we respect that. But it's not in an area that's going to impact residential neighborhoods. It's in an area that calls for this particular kind of use. That's why there's one right across the street. That's the only one that's in direct area of where this site is. The others are serving other thoroughfares in a substantial way. One of the sites that was presented to the Planning and Zoning Committee of this council as being something that's in the area and we don't need it because they serve food was actually pictures of Mr. Ahmed's other store that he has down in Tannehill, many, many miles away. So if we look back and say, what is the public safety, health, and welfare reason to deny this man the right to put his business on this site? There are none. There are none. Your own city traffic engineer, our independent consultants who are very well respected, have all said this is not a traffic issue. This property is not in the middle of a neighborhood. It's not impacting residential. And that particular area is not inundated with gas stations. And I'll say this about food for whatever it's worth. When you look at that menu, I think y'all have pictures, these are home-cooked types, meats and vegetables types of food. It's not a hamburger place, although they serve those other kind of things, for whatever that's worth. Anyway, this man is a property owner. He's going to bring something, if you will allow it, beneficial to this city in many ways. And there's no real reason to deny it. I hate that it's gotten like what we've heard, but that's certainly not ever anything we intended. And if you'd like to see it, and I know you've seen in your report that the city actually offered to have us come and report and bring our traffic engineer. And you may remember at the Planning and Zoning Committee, the city staff member, the zoning staff member there said she was told by the neighborhood president, no, we don't want him to come. I've got an email right here that was emailed from our client to the president of the neighborhood offering to meet back in April before the next rounds of hearings started to go over the traffic, answer any questions they have, get their input, and it was declined. If you all would like to have it or see it, I'm happy to pass it around.
We have a copy of it in our packet.
Yeah,
so.
okay, so I don't know what else we could do, but sometimes, the right thing is the right thing, and we would ask that you give favorable consideration to this improvement. You spent a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beavers. Do any members of the council have any comments or questions? Dr. O'Quinn?
My first question is to the planning staff. Can you please explain why the rezoning of this property is necessary for this type of use?
Yes, sir. So this property is currently zoned MXD, and MXD is a mixed-use planned development. And so the way MXD is set up is that when you're zoned MXD, it's sort of a blanket zoning. And until there's a conceptual plan approved, there's no underlying use groups that, kind of become the de facto zoning, right? So MXD is an umbrella. In order to actually use the property, you have to have a conceptual plan approved. And so the reason for that is that MXD was conceived of as kind of more of it has mixed use in its name, but really it's more of a planned unit development. And so, it's designed for large tracts of land. When Oxmoor was first opened up, you had, well over 1,000 acres of property out there. The MXD was applied, and with the intent that as development occurred, these conceptual plans would be developed for large tracts, 20, 40 acres or more. And so those conceptual plans would include, kind of an overlay analysis of a bunch of different factors, whether it's flooding, topography, et cetera. And so those different factors would determine, okay, this place is better for more density, this place is better for no density, this place may be better just as open space. And so when we're confronted with a situation like this where we have a small tract that is zoned MXD and has no use group, that only has 2.5, 3 acres of land associated with it, that kind of evaluation we feel like is maybe not 100% necessary. And so it kind of violates the intent of that district, you know. And so what we recommend in those cases is just to rezone to another district within the city that would allow the use and apply at the same time through Q conditions we're doing in this case is apply the Oxmoor design guideline to the development plan. So if this zoning is approved, they would still have to go before Oxmoor Design Committee, or Oxmoor Steering Committee, I'm sorry, to make sure that their development complies with the Oxmoor design guidelines. So kind of a long explanation, but you know, it makes sense to me. Like I say, MXD was designed more as a planned unit development that contemplated large tracts of land. And so this is kind of a one-off where it's 2 to 3 acres. It doesn't make sense to go through the conceptual plan approval process, which technically is a rezoning process. So, you know, either way, they're going to have to go through a public rezoning process. But we just feel that this method is best suited for this particular situation.
Okay, so while there may not be a conceptual plan in existence for this area, we do have the Southwest Framework Plan.
Yes, sir.
And Mrs. Kirk alluded to in her comments that the Southwest Framework Plan calls for a purpose or use that's different from what's being proposed. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can. I think that from the comments I heard, you know, I heard a lot about form-based, I heard a lot about mixed use. And so that's what I'm wondering, if maybe there's some, you know, I think it is confusing that MXD has the term mixed use in it. There is a minor mixed use component to MXD zoning, but truthfully it's mostly a planned unit development type of tool that the city's applied. And so where the plan does talk about form-based and mixed use and, you know, more density, I think those comments were targeted to what was known as the Village Center in the original plan for Oxmoor. That's an area that is just west of Publix. And I think those comments are directed towards that, you know, because that location is kind of a key node in the city and in that area, you know, so it fronts Lakeshore Parkway. It's adjacent to, I believe that's Shannon Oxmoor Road, and also it's Venice across Lakeshore and Shannon Oxmoor to the south. But that is a key node within that area that makes a lot of sense to have a lot of density, a lot of mix of uses. And so I think those comments are directed towards that location. And then, you know, as the report mentions, the site is actually under our adopted land use plan is shown as light industrial. And I think that is because of the uses that are adjacent. You know, the former SRI, I forget the new name of the facility that's, you know, to the north and west. And then, you know, there was there's some other industrial property that's south. But it is listed as light industrial on our future land use plan.
Okay. So that kind of gets to my next question, which is regarding the long-range land use plan as being light industrial. I mean, other than its proximity to the adjacent railroad, I mean, are those types of, my experience, rather, has been that those long-range land use plans are heavily informed by history and often, you know, not necessarily anticipating, you know, what may happen in the future. So kind of, you know, I think the approach from my observation, this has been my observation, is, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. or if there's not something, directly in line to be developed there that's different from the current long-range land use plan, then anyway, I'm trying to figure out, how this long-range land use plan kind of factors into this deliberation.
Yes, sir.
I think that, so I'm correct in assuming that the Circle K that's across the street from this location is still operating. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I believe it is.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my questions.
Thank you. Counselor Clark?
I really don't know what to say because I feel like we get into this a lot in Oxmoor where I feel like the residents do not support the growth of the corridor generally. And I know that's a blanket statement, but I do feel like, from my understanding of Oxmoor Valley, which may not be their understanding of Oxmoor Valley, it's one of the few green fields, or, it's less so with every year as more developments happen, but it's one of the only green fields in the city limits of Birmingham where we can actually be deliberate about how it develops, and there's been a lot of, forethought to how it might develop through, the investments that the city and the county made and the infrastructure to open the land up for development, which led to many of the developments that these residents live in, but that it was a very intentional thing that happened that led to where you live now. And so the continued growth of this corridor is something that was deliberated on and thought about by the landowners who, were the big landowners in this development. So I just feel like now that we have residents there, which, the whole idea of mixed use is you don't, Oxmoor is a strange neighborhood as neighborhoods go because it's made up of a bunch of neighborhoods that we call Oxmoor, but I see it as an economic development corridor that you all are living in one of the earlier phases of. And I don't know if we have, Ms. Kirk alluded to the framework plan, but I don't know if we have done enough to have the residents and the landowners together, or if there's been some way that they can be a part of. They're on a defensive end usually when we meet up with them, but are they involved at all or enough in the visioning of the corridor as it continues to take shape? Because I'm sure a lot of those plans from 20 years ago, 30 years ago are a little dated, and I don't know if we've put the same emphasis on refreshing, but I think we need to do some more visioning out there so that they can feel heard around the things they want to see in their communities. And I know we have the framework plan, but I just think we're going to have a big problem out there if the residents aren't invested in the vision for the corridor and more excited about opportunities that come forward, and maybe even being more prescriptive about the things that we should try to attract to the corridor. But I just think, I've only been here a short time, but the IRS building reuse, we're just going to have this happen again and again and again if we don't somehow create more. And I know when you all do those framework plans, not a lot of people, knock down the door to get in there. So, but is there anything we could do to try to fix this more formally so that the residents aren't always, no, please don't bring that. And then we're not, how do we move forward in a more, how can we create a process for them to be more involved in the master plan for this corridor? Because it's a growth corridor for the city, unless that's changed, and nobody told me.
Right, yeah, so I agree that it is kind of an economic development corridor, the history of the place. As you mentioned, there were large investments from the city and the county and the retirement systems of Alabama with a golf course and whatnot, and I think that was probably the first development that occurred there. I do think that initially, as mentioned, when the first large conceptual plan was conceived of, I think primarily it was U.S. Steel property, that, there was a general conception of, golf course, residents to the south of Lakeshore, business industry on Lakeshore and to the north and to the west. And, generally speaking, that's played out to a certain degree. The original plan, was to, well, I don't need to go into too much detail about that, but I think generally speaking, the mix of land uses that were proposed originally is generally happening. Where you see most of the residential development is south of Lakeshore. And where you generally see most of the industrial or commercial development is either on Lakeshore, to the west, or to the north of Lakeshore. Now, Red Mountain Park is now a big property owner within that area, and it's taken up a lot of the energy on the north side of Lakeshore. But beyond that, I would say that, and of course initially at that time when the plans were developed in the early 90s, it was the Sand Ridge neighborhood at that time. And I think from what I understand, the Sand Ridge neighborhood was involved in that process. And, I think that there was actually property that was donated to build a park there for the residents. But then beyond that, the Oxmoor Steering Committee is an active committee. It's an ad hoc committee that meets as necessary as development plans come forward. And when those meetings occur, we have invited and do continue to invite neighborhood leadership to those meetings, always have since I've been part of the process since 2006. And so we do, make those offers. We send those invitations to the neighborhood leadership and accept them, and they have the opportunity to comment on those cases. And I think that what I've mentioned in the past is that the more, and I'm certainly willing and able to do this and spend more time with neighborhood leadership talking about what the zoning ordinance says and how it's applied, what the Oxmoor design guidelines say and how they're applied, how the Oxmoor Steering Committee operates. I think that when you have that information, you know how to, respond. And so I think that's one piece of the puzzle, is that the more knowledge is developed, the more understanding there is, the more you're capable of working within the process. And I think some of that has happened.
Okay.
There have been instances where a development plan has been before the committee, and the neighborhood was there, and they made comments, and the development plan changed based on their comments. So, those things have happened in the past,
Okay.
and I think those opportunities are still available.
Okay. Let's have it.
And I'd also mention the Southwest Framework Plan. We did intentionally, work to implement their committee. We had a start and a stop with the Southwest Implementation Committee. Primarily, the one thing that's interesting about Southwest Community is that, you have the Oxmoor Valley, but then you also have communities that are over the mountain to the north. And so there are different issues in those two places, which is fine. But initially when we started the committee, we were primarily talking to those folks that lived on the north side of the mountain. That process, fizzled out a little bit. But then we reinitiated that process and really were very intentional about making sure that Oxmoor was included in that. And so we have been meeting regularly with the Southwest Implementation Committee as part of that process.
I just wanted to follow up with, so there's a regular Southwest Framework implementation meeting that people could come to get more engaged in the future visioning and land use planning for the corridor.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the Oxmoor Steering Committee, I know it's not a regular meeting, it's an as needed, but is it a public meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the public is invited.
Okay, so how do we publicize when those meetings?
Yeah, generally we do it through the neighborhood association.
Okay.
And in the counselor's office.
Okay. Yeah, so I just think, it's going to be dynamic going forward. And so I I just encourage residents to get, become engaged somehow in the visioning and future vision and development of this corridor, because it's going to be dynamic, it's going to change, it's going to keep growing. And, traffic is going to have to be managed, because it's going to, I hate to say it's going to worsen, but the more uses you have, especially residential and some business uses, are going to create more drivers, put more drivers on your roads. So get engaged, because it's going to be, a dynamic situation going forward. And I just feel like they're being kind of flung along more. I mean, we don't have these opportunities in a lot of our other parts of the city, because they're already sort of built out, so we're more in a redevelopment sort of posture than a clearing trees, which is necessary if it's forested. And it's going to happen, I think, and unless there's a lot of open space in the plan, and I don't think there is, other than Red Mountain Park and the park we already have. Maybe there's some other opportunities for open space, but I just don't want anybody to get too attached to the trees, because they're going to go away over time.
Not all of them.
In a lot of places.
They'll leave a few.
They'll leave a few.
So, y'all, we have gotten off of our topic here quite a bit, but I'm sure it was very helpful information, because development is coming to a piece of property near you, and it's going to happen because the property owner has property rights. So suggesting that everything be made into a park, which we normally hear in our planning and zoning committee meetings, is not realistic, because very few property owners are going to give their multi-million-dollar piece of property for a park, although one did. So anyway, we are back to, yes, ma'am, Councilor, President Pro Tem Alexander.
Thank you very much. Councilor Clark, I appreciate your comments and your advice to the neighbors of Oxmoor Valley. I do just want to make you aware, they are currently working in a process with the Southwest Framework Plan. Many of the individuals that are sitting here today, they're already having these discussions, and so there's no misinformation or a lack of being informed. They're working with this and to try to sort out these type of issues that are coming before us. Because as Dr. O'Quinn stated, there was perhaps years ago a master plan of what was thought by even those property owners, the large land barons, the large landowners, of what they thought Oxmoor Valley was going to look like and be inhabited by. And now I feel that we have to determine and we have to decide what is the wishes of the people that live and have invested in these neighborhoods. I've heard about investments. I'm all for economic development, revenue, because it helps to improve our neighborhoods. It goes back into investment in community to our infrastructure. We know we have legacy neighborhoods that are also in District 7 that are very much in need of help. But we have to listen today to the investments. I've counted 10, 12 families here that I see that invested years ago in this particular area. And so I know their desires and their goals, but I believe they're also open for looking to the future and seeing what can make this the best place to live. As far as the Southwest Framework Plan, that information is disseminated, and I know often, as we see in our neighborhood meetings, we have small core groups of people that are invested in this. But I trust the members that have been working diligently to look to see what is the future. I do have a question, Mr. Gambriel, about the Oxmoor Steering Committee. What is the makeup of that committee? Are there any neighbors or residents that particularly make up that steering committee?
Yes, ma'am. So the legislation that established the committee it was basically the large landowners there at the time, and that's changed a little bit. But so it's U.S. Steel, McOx or McDonald Land Company, Red Mountain Park, and then the municipal organizations that are involved will be the City of Birmingham, the City of Bessemer, and Jefferson County. And so those are the members of the committee. And there have been discussions, there have been questions about neighborhood representation, And I think basically, you know, the legislation that established the body would have to be amended. You know, I think, like I say, they're invited to participate, and they often do. And their participation has, in the past, made a difference to the development plans that were actually approved. You know, their voice has been heard, and plans have changed based on their comments. So they're active participants. While they may not have a vote, they are active participants, and they're invited to all meetings.
Okay. So thank you for giving me that information about the steering committee. It's a question that's been asked by my office for several years as far as wanting to ensure that the people that live in those areas have a voice. I just want to be sure that we don't get ourselves in a situation of where we think it's what's best for the people who actually live there. And these are the people that we need to listen to. So thank you.
Thank you. And if we can just please stick to the rezoning requests that we have here. I know that this is good knowledge, but, you know, it's going to be noon, and we're not going to have gotten past item 1 on the agenda. So we need to stick to the actual rezoning. I believe Councilor Smitherman is next.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Attorney King, what is the law on zoning regulations and the oversaturation of businesses in one area?
I'll have Attorney Bernard come up and address that question.
Good morning. Julie Bernard serves as an assistant city attorney. The law on zoning, I mean, property owners have rights in their property, and the council is to give them due process, you know, in their request for the zoning of the property and to not act in an arbitrary and capricious manner. In general, you know, just saying we've got too many of something is not always a solid basis, but taking into consideration all the facts and, you know, everything in what you hear. You are the weighers of the facts, and that, you know, that's up to you.
Okay, thank you. How many gas stations are in that area? Do you know? Oh, well, maybe that's for Council President Pro Tem Alexander. How many gas stations are in that area?
They're saying 5, but I know I've counted more than 5 if you're riding up and down that corridor. I would say at least 7 to 10, my count, but I know with just riding through the area, there seems to be more than 5.
Okay. 70% of Birmingham is in the food desert. And if we count the food part of this business, I don't think it's acceptable to tell residents these are hot plate meals and this will constitute as a healthy meal, because I've been to plenty of gas stations, travel a lot, I think we all have, and we have looked at hot plate meals and we're like, I think I'll pass, I'll get some snacks. But I do thoroughly agree that we have to listen to the residents. So I don't live in Oxmoor Valley. None of us live, and they're the ones that are being affected by it. And looking by the vote, that was pretty impactful vote that almost everybody voted no for this. So I'm definitely going to take that in consideration. I was listening to you all. I understand you. Thank you for trying to do a business here in Birmingham, but you know, we were elected by the residents, and I'll follow wherever Council President Pro Tem Alexander's lead is because it's our district. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question to Mr. Gambrilla. How does one from the community become a part of the Oxmoor Steering Committee?
Well, there's really not a process available to do that right now. I think as a member, as a voting member, I think that, like I had mentioned, you know, we do, you know, notify neighborhood officers when there are meetings. We do likewise with the council's office, and so I think probably the best way would either for them to contact me directly, Timothy.Gambrell, spelled Gambrel, @birminghamal.gov. I would be happy to include an email to them as cases come forward. Likewise, they could contact their neighborhood officer. But we'd be happy to have them.
So is it any future plans to, because I'm hearing what you're saying for, like, well, you know, one of the residents to join the committee? Is there some type of legislation needs to go forth, or what do we need to do, like, for future, if people from the neighborhood want to join one of these ad hoc committees?
Well, I think we would have to consult with OCA on that and determine a path forward. We've done that in the past, and we've chosen to stay the course of where we are. I'm sure we'd be happy to, take a look at that again. But like I say, be happy to send out emails if somebody wants to notify me that they're interested in participating. Likewise, with the neighborhood officers, we would be happy to assist.
Okay. Because I'm like my colleagues have heard, the concerns, of the neighborhood and do understand people in community often feel powerless because they have top-heavy people making these decisions, for what they think needs to happen in the neighborhood. So if we can visit that and see what we could do going forward to offer those that are, in community to be a part of a voting member on the committee.
Thank you. Anyone else who wants to speak to the issue of the rezoning case that is before us? Anyone? Councilor Woods?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got an appreciation for the residents that came down today to voice their opinion. I know I initially had some concern around the fact that they came. I'll re-rack it. I just want to say I have appreciation for all the residents that came down today to speak to the concerns that they had in their community, and I think it shows a lot. And it's what we really want to see. Like, we want to hear from you. We want you to be engaged. We want you to be involved. And I know y'all have a strong community. Initially, I had a lot of concern around the fact that they had only been to the neighborhood almost 2 years ago. And so I thought there would have loved to see opportunity for them to come back. But I do appreciate the residents that came today so that we can have a better understanding of the community as a whole and where you stood. And so I have, I think we've all dealt with different rezoning in our districts and, seen different things. And sometimes the people go against the wishes of the community. But I think that it's important to hear from you guys. I don't see any overwhelming reason why we need to or have to force this on you. I think there are some legitimate concerns that y'all have raised, and I don't know that I'm in a position to tell you what you need to and have to live with. And so I think that you really did yourselves a true service by taking the time to come down here today so that we could hear from a wider array of opinions and reasoning and thought processes. I think that's very important. Would have loved to see the business owner and would like to ask Madam President in the future to ensure that we try to extend every opportunity for anyone that wants to come before you to do so. And that's just my opinion of how that should work. But hearing all of the reasons, weighing everything, I've heard this, I think, 3 times at this point. But I can say that the residents coming down today has had a significant impact. And I think it's important because you had a lot of level-headed, valid reasoning as to why you did not feel that this added to your quality of life. And I have no overwhelming reason to override that in order to squeeze a business in a tight lot. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We are ready to vote, but I do want to say the committee, which consists of myself and Councilor Tate and Councilor Woods, voted unanimously in favor of this item. And the reason was that all of the issues that had been brought up, unless you don't trust traffic engineering studies, and that would be it, we couldn't find at that time a reason to say no. But we certainly have heard from the residents that they don't want this. Nobody came and said they wanted it except Mr. Beavers. and we understand that. But I thought I should mention the justification for our decision was we couldn't find a way that seemed legal that we could deny it. But, you know, I guess we'll let the courts sort that out.
Madam Chair.
We're ready to vote. Yes.
If I could add, I don't want to speak to anyone else's vote, but I will speak to my vote at committee. And a lot of my concern was solely around the neighborhood president, making sure someone wasn't making a unilateral decision for the neighborhood. And so having the opportunity to hear from more residents and get feedback in between times, I think is important. Like I said, it's one thing for one person to make a decision for everyone, but to hear people come down with valid concerns, I think that speak to their quality of life. I think that's important. And so I just wanted to clarify, my vote from committee. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think we've heard new information today, so we're ready. We're not ready. Councilor Tate.
And Madam Chair, I also want to concur with Councilor Wood said. We've heard, from numerous residents at that time. We only heard from, one person. So I've heard from, numerous individuals on today to give me a proper reason to make another decision.
Thank you. Now we're ready to vote.
Mr. Clerk, would you like to do a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Abbott?
No.
Councilmember Clark?
No.
Councilmember Moore? Councilmember Smitherman?
No.
Councilmember Tate?
No.
Councilmember Williams?
No.
Councilmember Woods? Council Pro Tem Alexander?
No.
Council President O'Quinn?
No. Request denied. Item 2.
Item 2, a resolution relative to the application of Trendsetters Lounge and Event Center, LLP, for a lounge retail liquor class 1 license to be used at Trendsetters Lounge, 3427 27th Street North, Birmingham, in the hearing of all interested parties. Motion, please.
Second.
Item is before you.
Madam Chair, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is the applicant here? Okay, the applicant is not here. I am going to move to withdraw this item and send it back to public safety, but I'm also going to make a note for the record that this is the applicant's second time as a no-show, the first time being October the 31st and the second time being on today.
So we're withdrawing the item?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Item 3 was withdrawn.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clerk, item 4.
Okay. Item 4, a resolution granting an operating authority permit with 1 certificate of public necessity and convenience to Caring Hands Medical Transportation and Courier, LLC, 1135 Springview Street, Birmingham, to be used in the operation of a non-emergency medical transport service upon the public streets of Birmingham and to and from locations within the city in accordance with the provisions of Title 12, Chapter 16 of the General Code of the City of Birmingham, 1980, as amended or may be amended. Motion, please.
The item. So in pre-council, we discussed that there may be a zoning concern related to this item. Have we gotten any additional information on that?
President, we should have Ms. Katrina Thomas from our Planning, Engineering, and Permits Department up here to speak to the item. Ms. Katrina, if you could make your way to the podium, please, ma'am.
Good morning, Council. Katrina Thomas. I serve as Director of the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits. What was the question?
It was brought to our attention that there may be some concern that the address that's being used as the business location is a D2 district, a single-family dwelling district, and so you know, the concern was that's not allowed use for that zoning, so can you speak to that at all?
Yes, so the applicant can have a home occupation. There are several conditions as it relates to home occupations. So if that is the applicant's primary residence, then they can have a transportation-related business and use their home for office use associated with that business. They could not have a fleet of vehicles at their home. They can have one vehicle. There are some requirements on signage for that vehicle. It cannot be more than a placard that's 2x4. They can't use the vehicle for storage, and there are just some other requirements around it. There's also a size limitation on that vehicle. So it's my understanding that this will be a van that will be parked at the residence, just one van, and it would meet those requirements for a home occupation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions? If not, we're ready for the vote.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Next item.
Should be item 5, on page 3, a resolution granting an operating authority permit with one certificate of public necessity and convenience to Compassionate Care Wheels, LLC, 4211 Chase Lake Fairway, Hoover, Alabama, to be used in the operation of a non-emergency medical transport service upon the public streets of Birmingham and to and from locations within the city in accordance with the provisions of Title 12, Chapter 16 of the General Code of the City of Birmingham, 1980, as amended or may be amended. Motion, please.
I move approval.
Second.
All right, any questions, comments? Are you ready for the vote?
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right.
Motion passes. Next item.
Should be item 6, a resolution granting an operating authority permit with one certificate of public necessity and convenience to LimoServe, LLC, 1500 50th Street North, Birmingham, to be used in operation of a limousine service upon the public streets of Birmingham and to and from locations within the city in accordance with the provisions of Title 12, Chapter 16 of the General Code of the City of Birmingham, 1980, as amended or may be amended. Motion, please.
Move the item.
Second.
All right, any questions? If not, we're ready for the vote.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
All right, that motion passes.
All right, item 10 was withdrawn. Next will be item 12, a resolution amending resolution 933-23 to provide that the runoff election for member number 9 of the Board of Managers of the Retirement and Relief System of the City of Birmingham should be held on November the 28th, 29th, and 30th, 2023.
I move approval.
Second.
All right, any questions? If not, we're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
All right, that motion passes. Next
Yeah.
item.
14, a resolution accepting and approving the bid of Mitchell Concrete Specialties, LLC, Saginaw, Alabama, for concrete storm sewer inlet covers for storm drainage as needed at unit prices on file in the office of the purchasing agent for a period of 1 year for the City of Birmingham Public Works Department, this being the most responsive and responsible bid submitted. Motion, please.
Move the item.
Second.
All right. The motion properly seconded. Counselor Williams, if you're in the building, you had questions.
I believe he said his questions had been answered, but I don't know if others had questions.
Counselor Abbott.
Yeah, the question that I had was, normally when we have bid items, they put the number of bidders, and like item 16 says 3 bids submitted, but this one doesn't say how many bids were submitted. And I was curious to know if there was just one or if there was more. Okay, 2. So maybe we could just put it on here from now on. He doesn't care anymore.
Okay.
2. 2 bids.
That was the only question I had. I'm excited. It's hard to get excited about a storm sewer cover, but since we have so many problems and have so many that are down in the hole, I'm excited about this.
All right. So I think Councilor Williams' concerns have been addressed. For those of you who may not had the opportunity to tune in to the pre-council meeting, just a quick synopsis. Concrete storm sewer covers are a sore point for every single councilor sitting up here on the dais. We hear you. We don't like it when they're jacked up, sitting sideways in the storm drain, or crushed, or the storm drain is non-functional because there's a pile of concrete at the bottom preventing water flow through it. We've been assured that this outsourcing of building the storm sewer inlet covers is to a higher engineering standard, so we'll see. And hopefully this will be better in that with this project, Public Works will have an actual inventory of storm inlet covers that they can, when those covers may be damaged, go out and replace those more quickly. So, but that being said, we do aspire to do better. And so this council will, I'm sure, continue to push in that direction. With that, Councilor Smitherman.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I saw is concrete storm drain covers. Do we have other cities that have similar covers to this? Or do we have a picture or?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
So we'll need to get Josh Yates up to answer that, Councilor Smitherman. I'll get him now.
Okay, because I was thinking about when Councilor Tate and we talked about this when we were in Tuscaloosa, we saw a different storm drainage cover and it looked like it was more effective. So I don't know if we were moving to that or just so we can have a visual so we can show the residents. Or if you can describe it more.
Director Yates.
Hey, thank you, Councilor. So in regard to the description of the concrete covers, we have two that are primarily used across the city that are both 4 foot and 5 foot. You'll see in the bid document it was $85 and $90 respectively for the 4 and 5 foot. They're 4 feet in length, most of them. They are thick, several inches thick, roughly 3-4 inches thick, and a couple feet wide. And it's just a concrete slab, has a hook on the top so that our crane trucks can pick them up and put them on top of the pedestals.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Abbott.
Well, I do have another question. You know, we know what we've got now, which are pitiful. So the ones that we're getting, the new ones, they've been professionally designed by a professional engineer, or is this a design from UAB?
So the ones that we have that we bid, our chief civil engineer, Mr. Jesse Miller, he actually helped put the specs together for that. They have rebar in them that's tied to make them stronger. We were pouring a lot of lids ourselves, and now this is something that's a bid item, and it is stronger. It is reviewed by our engineer prior to bid.
And I noticed that we also bid the cast iron covers, but we didn't award that bid. I guess we don't want cast iron covers.
I believe that'll be coming to you next. We are in dire need of the concrete ones right now due to some of the safety issues and the holes that are out there that need to be covered right away. Additionally, the metal ones will be coming as well. You'll see in there those are the round ones. The top line was the round ones, and then we had some that were the big metal, just like the concrete, but was more expensive. And so there's several different types, and those will be coming next.
Okay, well, if people don't like their concrete covers, can they pay the cost of a cast iron one and get it?
A lot of our metal covers do not fit where the concrete ones were. They're thinner. They're not as thick as the concrete. So to answer your question, it depends.
Okay, well, these would be areas where the iron ones were taken away and concrete ones were brought in. And if you live in a historic neighborhood, you know, the iron ones look professional and the concrete ones look the way they look,
Yes, ma'am.
which is unattractive. So I just wondered, because people ask me, if I paid for an iron, when could I get it? You know, if it's in front of their house, people care about sewer covers. So that was my question. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Appears to be no other questions. Ms. Clark, we're ready for the vote.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Mr. President, can we revisit the vacancy list, board and vacancy list?
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Okay, there are a couple of vacancies with the Public Athletic Culture and Entertainment Facilities Board. That's Justina Howard and Samuel Rumor. Both terms expire December the 13th, 2023, for their 6-year terms, and they're under the Park and Recreation Committee. And then we have a vacancy with the Birmingham Library Board. Mona Lisa Morris, that term expires 12/31/23. It's a 5-year term under the Education Services Committee. And our final vacancy is with the Medical Clinic Board General. It's J. Mason Davis III. Term expires 12/31/23. 6-year term under the Public Safety Committee. Thank you, sir.
All right, that concludes all the items in our agenda. We will now have council district reports. Councilor Clark.
Thank you. I need to get my phone back. Sorry. So, neighborhood meetings in District 8 this week. The Fairview neighborhood has postponed its conference call meeting for 1 week, so they will actually gather on the line next week. Tonight, the Thomas neighborhood is meeting in person at the Mount Hebron Baptist Church, Thomas, at 6:30 p.m., and the Central Park neighborhood will also meet on Thursday at the 5 Points West Library. That's at 6 p.m. Also want to just point out a couple of things happening this weekend. On Saturday, November 11th, starting at 8:45 a.m., there's going to be multiple neighborhood cleanups sponsored by Magic City Blight Busters and Keep Birmingham Beautiful. The cleanups will be happening in the Rising West Princeton neighborhood and the Bellevue Heights neighborhood. Rising West Princeton is meeting at the Neighborhood Center at 1708 First Avenue West. Not really sure where Bellevue Heights is meeting, so maybe you can call our office and get more information about that. Also, there's an annual Walk for Education sponsored by the National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa Incorporated, new chapter. That's happening Saturday morning, November 11th at Legion Field. They meet up at 9 and will walk for about 1 hour. The meeting place is on the Graymont Avenue side. For more information, you can contact Peggy Miles, who's the coordinator, at 205-788-1007. Also, NARAB, the Black Realtists Association, they're in town this week with their national president. They're going to be releasing the SHEBA report, which is the state of housing in Black America. That's going to happen in a conference at Miles College on Thursday. But Saturday, they're having this Birmingham Community Wealth Building Day. That's taking place at the Star Church, which is located at 7400 London Avenue in Birmingham, Alabama. That's Pastor Beaver's church. It goes from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and the topics are kind of funny. It's like what to do with mom and them house, building good credit and leveraging it, real estate investing, exploring careers in real estate. I think there will be the opportunity to, several banks are participating, Valley, Renaissance Regions, Trustmark, Synovus, Cadence, and it just should be a really good day of, thinking about building wealth and leveraging your assets and protecting your assets and buying new assets. So I believe some of the banks might be able to help you pre-qualify for a home purchase if that's your financial goal. And, as always, we meet each Thursday at the Starbucks at the Crossplex. close to 8 o'clock, we do a 1.5-mile loop around the property. We're joined by our partners, the Freshwater Land Trust and District 8 neighbors, and we get a little morning exercise, and we celebrate the upcoming Valley Creek Rails to Trails project, which now we have 4 million reasons to celebrate. So finally, I'd just like to acknowledge that and express gratitude for the service of all veterans to America as we observe this Veterans Day later this week. Thank you.
Council Moore?
Thank you, Mr. President. Wanted to see where I want to start. So, in partnership with 46th Street Baptist Church, we will be hosting a ham giveaway at WC Patton Park on November the 11th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Want to inform people that it is first come, first serve. All right, and so just thankful for the partnership of 46th Street Baptist Church in this ham giveaway, again taking place at WC Patton Park on November the 11th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. This past Saturday, got a chance to partner with Cool Green Trees, the Collegeville neighborhood, along with the Alphas, Youth Serve, Growing Kings, Bethel Baptist Church, several different churches, residents in the Collegeville neighborhood, to be able to plant trees over in the Collegeville neighborhood. We were able to plant 150 trees. It was really cool. Just being able to work with everybody to do something that's going to outlast us. And so it was in honor of Veterans Day. So we had several veterans that were out there with us as well. There will be another tree planting that will take place on November the 9th at East Lake Park. I'll have to find out what that time is, in partnership with Cool Green Trees as well. And so just wanted to say thank you to everybody that came out. Really had a great time, and it was a learning experience for a lot of folks as well. And I know my colleague has already made mention of the NARAB Building Black Wealth Tour that's taking place, but just wanted to reiterate the importance of this event. A lot of times we are looking for information on how to improve our neighborhoods, how to improve our own lives, and this right here is something that all of us need to be participating in. All of us need to learn this information, especially our black churches. So I'm encouraging all black churches to make sure that you are in attendance. I think the last I heard, they had over 600 people that have registered. We want to, really take that number above 1,000, so that, people are able to take advantage of these different opportunities and the information that's provided. So yeah, just wanted to say that, and that concludes my announcements. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you.
To those.
Councilor Abbott.
Oops. What have I done here? Let's try again. Okay, the next Planning and Zoning Committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, which is tomorrow, November 10th, at 3:30 p.m. in conference rooms D and E. Thursday, November 9th, this week, the Southside Framework Plan meeting will be held at Highlands United Methodist Church, and it is at 5 o'clock. That's the church behind the famous fountain in 5 Points. It's important for people to show up because we'll be talking about zoning, which is an extremely popular subject when it doesn't go your way or when you're afraid of what's going to come to your area. So neighborhood association meetings tonight. We have Forest Park South Avondale. They meet at the Avondale Library at 6:30 p.m. If you have concerns or issues, please call 311. It's great for you to call your city council office, but we're going to ask you if you've called 311 or sent your request in via the app, which is My BHAM 311. And as always, I'm a big fan of that app because you can associate pictures with it, and then people can see exactly what you're talking about. In fact, I wish we had one of these for the police, because I could show them all the front yard parking, parking on sidewalks, parking in intersections that goes on that they can't find. And last but not least, I'm asking the residents of District 3 to please continue to visit our website for all of the issues that pop up that we don't have time to discuss here this morning, but that are important. And that's www.bhamdistrict3.com. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councilor Smitherman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Oakwood Place will meet today at 4 p.m. at Harrison Park Recreation Center. Mason City will meet today at 4:30 p.m. via conference call. West End Manor neighborhood will meet this Monday, November 13th at 5 p.m. at the New Hope Baptist Church. The next Budget and Finance meeting will meet this Monday, November 13th at 3:30 p.m. in Conference Room Z&E. Submissions are due tomorrow by noon. As Mayor Woodfin has already stated, there is a coffee with the code enforcement officer that will be this Thursday at Memorial Park from 10 to noon. I know that's one of the hot topics amongst the residents, so this is your chance to ask all of those different questions, get educated, because a lot of times you may think something is a police issue, but it's really code enforcement and vice versa. So that's really important, so please, please come. And as mentioned before by two of my other colleagues, NARAB having their Building Black Wealth Tour, Birmingham Community Wealth Building Day. I think it's going to be great. It'll be this Saturday from 10 to 3 p.m. at the Star. I've been invited to participate, so come say hey to me if you are able to attend. There also will be giveaways, housing counselors, free credit reports. I think that's amazing, free credit reports, because otherwise you have to pay for it. Food trucks, bring your kids. They have activities for them. And then one-on-one with attorneys, real estate professionals, and one-on-one with lenders as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Councilor Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wylam neighborhood meeting will be held tonight at 6 p.m. at the Wylam Library. Oak Ridge neighborhood meeting will be held on this Thursday, November the 9th at 4 p.m. and that's a conference call. You can dial 952-206-4918. The code is 223-418. Hooper City neighborhood will be held on Thursday, November the 9th at 6 p.m. at the Hooper Center Recreation Center. And North Birmingham neighborhood meeting will meet on Monday, November the 13th at 6 p.m. at the North Birmingham Rec Center. I also want to just thank Madam President again for offering the joint resolution for Mr. Hilliard's service on Saturday from yourself and myself and the whole council. And myself and President O'Quinn attended the services and continue to extend your prayers to the Hilliard family. I also want to give a special shout out to all the veterans, my niece Toriel Powlett, my brother Kelvin Tate, my uncle J.T. Tate, who are veterans, and to all the veterans, we honor you on today. The next public safety meeting will be held on Tuesday, November the 14th at 1 p.m. Please submit your agenda items by Wednesday, November the 8th, no later than 12 noon to Mr. Gregory Stanley, and that's gregory.stanley@birminghamal.gov. If you have questions, feel free to call our office at 254-2302. Also, Mr. President, I want to say that I am doing a turkey giveaway on Monday, 2 times, one on the west side and one on the north side. I don't have the times at this moment, but I will do a robocall on Sunday to alert those on the north side and the west side. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Councilor Williams.
Thank you. Roebuck Springs neighborhood will be meeting November the 9th, which is Thursday at 7 o'clock at the regular spot at New Beginning Church. As the mayor already alluded to, I know a lot of my district has trash pickup on Friday, so that will be tomorrow. So please do not call all Thursday, Friday, Monday about trash pickup. Put it out tomorrow. And then obviously echoing the comments about thanking all those that have served the country, our veterans, and have put so much sacrifice for our freedom. So happy Veterans Day. Thanks.
Thank you. Pro Tem Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are announcements for District 7. We have neighborhood meetings today. The Raleigh-Travalic neighborhood will meet at Noble Chapel Church at 6 p.m. The East Brownsville neighborhood will meet via conference call at 5:30 p.m. We have bulk trash and brush pickup that's scheduled for the Oxmoor Valley neighborhood tomorrow, Wednesday, November 8th, has already been discussed. If you have trash pickup on Friday, it will be picked up tomorrow, so don't forget to put your trash out. I want to also echo Mayor Woodfin's announcement about the Spread the Warmth supply drive at Boutwell Auditorium. And again, that's being hosted from 7:30 to 4 p.m. on Wednesday. I'm challenging all those members of service organizations, members of the Divine Nine, let's get those items together and get them down and promote and support this effort to provide that warmth for those residents who will be in need when we get into the winter months. Thursday, November 9th, we have the West Brownsville Neighborhood Association. They'll meet by conference call at 10 a.m. And then the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association will meet at 11. Also, we'd like to ask you to join the City of Birmingham. It's already been discussed for the coffee with code enforcement. I think that is a novel idea. I want to thank you, Councilor Smitherman. I know this is something that you've been very excited about, and I just loved it when I saw the flyer, and it can get people in there to ask the questions. So often I agree with you. We don't know what that issue relates to, and often it relates back to code enforcement. So thank you for that. Look forward, if there's another one, we'll be happy to put that out there too. Thank you. Also want to announce that the D7 Days of Giving will kick off Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. at the First Baptist Church of Roosevelt City. So I ask you to please come out. We'll be out there giving back to our neighborhoods, and so please come and join us. Monday, the Powderly Neighborhood Association will meet at 5, and then the Oxmoor Valley Neighborhood Association will meet at 6 p.m. Again, I also want to reiterate, happy Veterans Day. We appreciate the service that the men and women have given to our country. I want to especially acknowledge Deputy Administrator McDaniels and Mr. Lozia Brown. I know they're both of our veterans in the council office, so thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Quick question for Chief Sparks. I have gotten some inquiries from a couple of different individuals regarding marathons specifically in town, and folks are asking me what's going on, and it's somehow related to the city of Birmingham. So could you offer any insight as to that?
So, yes, sir, Mr. President, members of the council. Typically on the request for marathons, we assess what the needs are for city services. Most of them are around the public safety needs. So typically, if there is a request and the public safety needs outweigh what we're able to do in regard to the rate to the marathon and then protecting the rest of the city, that is shared. Because a lot of the marathons are either requesting in-kind services for public safety needs or support that just extends outside of what we're able to accommodate in that time. We also have marathons that are stacked on top of each other. So we'll have some of the, and they're not aware of that. They're not aware that there are multiple marathons that are being either requested or done at the same time. So we do it, we assess on a case-by-case basis. We obviously elevate those to the attention of the mayor, but that's where the challenge has been recently with regards to them. I won't make a blanket statement about just marathons in general, but that's how we assess, and that's been the most recent challenge that has popped up. It's addressing the public safety needs.
Right, and in most of these cases where we're not able to accommodate, it's because they're basically asking for us to waive those types of fee to provide that type of public safety service, at our expense?
In some cases, many of the marathons have a specific request around the route that they would like to use. Sometimes the route does not comport with the recommendation of the city. And so if we can't honor what their request is for the route, or if we can't comport with their request for public safety, we share that. So it varies based on the individual marathon. None of them are the same. But that's the challenge we've run into recently. It's been public safety, it's been specific routes, because our team will provide a recommendation for the routes that they recommend, and oftentimes that does not comport with what the host of the marathons will want. So it's assessed on a case-by-case basis, Council.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. District 5 announcements. Over the next week, we will have 4 neighborhood association meetings. Eastlake Neighborhood Association will meet tonight at Household of Faith Church. Forest Park, South Avondale will meet also tonight at 6:30 p.m. at the Avondale Public Library. Gate City Neighborhood Association will meet Monday, November 13th at 4 p.m. at the Marks Village Campus of Hope. Oak Ridge Park will meet on Monday, November 13th at 6 p.m. at the Harris Holmes Recreation Center. Transportation Committee will meet on Monday, November 13th at 2 p.m. in conference rooms D&E. Items can be submitted to the agenda by contacting Kimberly Phillips at kimberly.phillips@birmingham.org. If you live in the neighborhoods of Evergreen, Druid Hills, Central City, Fountain Heights, and Norwood, there will be a Northside Framework Plan meeting Thursday, November 16th from 6 to 7 p.m. at Protective Stadium in the Stadium Club. There will also be a WebEx link for anyone who is interested in joining via teleconference. Please contact my office or the City of Birmingham's Planning, Engineering, and Permits Department for the link. As Councilor Moore mentioned earlier, there will be a tree planting Saturday, November 18th at 9 a.m. at Wahoma Park. And finally, well, maybe not finally, but 4th Avenue Business District is having their quarterly cleanup that will take place on Saturday, November 18th, starting at 8 a.m. at the Famous Theater located at 1721 4th Avenue North. The forecast is for rain this Friday on Veterans Day, which may have some impact on the parade, but I think that the parade will go on, rain or shine. Largest Veterans Day parade in the country. Encourage folks to check out the website for information. And if the city councilor, the males on the city council look a little rough around the edges during the month of November, it's the mayor's fault. We blame him for everything else, and this is definitely his fault. So just wanted to put that out there. That brings us to our end of business. Do we have a motion to adjourn? I'm sorry. We have one public speaker, Mr. Clark.
Elizabeth, is it Bevel?
They did. Thank you for reminding me.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I reside at 824 86th Street South, and I'm here because on Saturday I received a parking ticket in Walmart's parking lot. I know I probably would have to pay that ticket, but in Walmart parking lot on private property, I got a ticket for parking in the yellow zone next to the handicap parking space. I do have a handicap decal. However, the person who's parked in the handicap parking space did not have a decal placed anywhere on their car, but they didn't get a ticket. I got a ticket. But anyway, I did talk to the security people there at Walmart, and they said that they never ticket people for parking in their yellow zone because, you know, people do that all day. I sat there and watched about 5 people come up after I pulled out, but nobody gave them a ticket. But anyway, I'm just asking for that ticket to be dismissed. I know you all don't do that, but what I'm here to ask is for you all to make some changes in the way they police Walmart parking lot. One way is to let the security do their job. The security say they will call when they have problems, and they didn't have a problem with me parking there. And also, be consistent with that. If you're going to give tickets, give them to everyone that parks where I park. And I do have a picture of where I park. And people park there all the time. And I do have one picture of another person who parked in the same spot as soon as I pulled out. But anyway, I'm just asking that they be consistent with that, and they're going to ticket one person, ticket everybody.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bevel. Attorney King, I wasn't aware that we did parking code or any sort of parking enforcement on private property.
I can look into that, but no, we normally do not, unless there's some exception, as Councilor Williams stated.
Okay.
Here's the ticket, and on the back, does not meet any of the criteria. I didn't do any of those, so that's what I'm.
Okay. Councilor Williams mentioned that this may not be a handicap zone issue. It may be a public safety issue with regard to the fire lane. Would that be a different situation?
I'll have to look into it. I'll get back with you.
Okay. All right.
That's a yellow caution zone. It's not a fire lane. I would never park there.
Okay.
Mr.
Any-
President,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, on the issue of the handicap zones now, the city of Birmingham has a $500 fine for people who park in handicap zones that we put on when Miriam Witherspoon was on the council, and she was very vociferous in her support for people who are handicapped being able to open their doors and have the extension come out that holds the heavy battery-operated wheelchairs. So I think if people park in handicap zones and someone calls, the police probably come and give them a ticket, even if it's on private property, because it's the city ordinance.
I want us to be mindful that we also have, this may be handled in municipal court, so just allow us to look into this.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Just wanted to acknowledge our police officers on duty. We have Cedric Pinkard, Charles Yates, and William Rogers. Thank you guys for being here. And now, Councilor Williams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
I see y'all trying to